Welcome into Turnkey on Queen City News Plus, your go-to show for everything real estate. We talk about the latest market trends, do's and don'ts of the industry, and provide expert advice on navigating this dynamic landscape that we call home. I'm your host and biker chick for the day, Morgan Francis. Now, when you look for a real estate professional to help walk you through buying a home, you usually talk with a mortgage loan officer and then a real estate agent. But today, we have someone coming on, Shakeita Price, who happens to do both. Shakeita, thanks for making the drive. You came from South Carolina today.
That's right.
We appreciate it. Thanks for coming on Turnkey.
Thank you for having me.
So where and when did you have the idea to do both? Because that's quite a big load to take on, is mortgage loan officer and real estate agent.
Yes, ma'am, it is. So I would say that, well, for one, I've always had a passion for helping people. Mm-hmm. And so, get my background, got my master's degree from USC in Columbia in social work. In 2020, I said, hey, I want to be able to help people on a deeper level. And I acquired my mortgage loan officer license in 2020, right during COVID. And I actually...
Just busy to have your...
it was super
to
busy.
be a lender during COVID.
Yeah.
Everyone refinancing.
Yeah. So I actually became a lender February 7th, 2020. And as you know, real estate is a very lucrative business, but also it's a lot of work. Mm-hmm. And really, you learn through experience. So if you never got training before 2020, 2020 was definitely not the year to get trained. So I will say, though, in 2020, I had to figure out a lot of things by myself, but I was able to help over 80 families my first year as a mortgage lender in 2020 and kind of, working literally probably 19 hours around the clock.
80?
Yes. Oh, yeah, my first year.
One?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's just mortgages. Okay, so I didn't realize this. So when I first got into business as a mortgage lender, mm-hmm. I promoted directly to consumers. So a lot of lenders, they're taught in the mortgage industry, you need to build relationships with real estate agents. Mm-hmm. So they can give you leads.
Yeah, I always get them showing up at open houses and introducing themselves.
Yeah.
And
or call in and say, hey, do you want coffee? And, can I stop by the office?
So many offers for coffee all the time. Yeah.
Well, I never did that. Mm-hmm. I was told to do that. I never did. I didn't like it. It made me feel like I was begging for business, and I didn't want to spend my money because I knew what value I could offer as a lender. Mm-hmm. So it was the complete opposite for me. Mm-hmm. So 80% of those 80 deals that I closed in year one was mine.
Wow, that's impressive.
And that has been the pattern since I've been a mortgage lender, since I got in 2020.
So mortgage lender.
Yes,
then
ma'am.
Came the real estate?
Yes.
So what inspired you to then
get my real estate license?
Tack that onto your plate?
Well, in 2023, interest rates took a turn. So in 2020, interest rates were, 2.75, 2.875, 3%. And that kind of was the market from 2020 until 2022. Somewhere along 2022, I want to say it was the end of 2022, moving into 2023, we noticed rates started to take a shift for the worse. They started to go up 5%, 6%. Mm-hmm. I mean, they even made it up to the 7%. Mm-hmm. And at that time, I was working with a retail lender at the time, and our basis points changed. So a lot of people may not know this, but real estate agents typically make double what a mortgage lender makes. Mm-hmm. And so for me, expecting my second child and the amount of hours that I was already working financially, it didn't really make sense for me to continue to give all of the leads away to real estate agents when I can work with less clients and make more money. Mm-hmm. That was the first idea. I thought about family. I was like, okay, I'm having a second baby. I need to take back my time. Mm-hmm. How can I take back my time? Well, you're already really good in sales. why don't you just get your real estate license and focus on that side where you can work with less clients and make more money, and then you can spend more time with your kids. So I was thinking about preparing, because family is first.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can make all the money in the world, but if you're not spending intentional time with your kids and your family, then the money really doesn't matter.
Well, and the parents, that's the core of what the family is. If there's no support there and time spent with your kids. So what you did is admirable, because on the front end, that's a lot of hours to go through 90-some-hour course, which really is double, right? When you're studying and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of time spent on the front end with the hope that you would spend more time with your kids and your family.
Yes. And then a second reason outside of, hey, I need to have more time for my kids. Baby, my daughter at 5 years old, she told me, hey, Mom, why don't you just go work at a grocery store so you don't have to work all night? And she was 5.
Mm-hmm.
So
she noticed.
Yeah, she noticed. Because prior I worked in, the medical field with mental health and, did counseling and things like that. But real estate actually gave me the opportunity to still implement my social work and counseling skills, because a lot of clients come because they're discouraged and they feel that, hey, I'm fearful that I won't get approved, or they have anxiety about even taking the first step.
It's a very emotional process.
It is. And I was able to utilize, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, while I'm on the phone with clients, to help shift their mindset, to help them have positive thinking about the process. Mm-hmm. And so that's another layer. I know we said real estate and loan officer. I still hold that license too, but that's another layer that makes.
So you're just like the license queen.
Yeah. So that's another layer that is able to help me connect with clients and why they should choose me and why they do choose me.
That's fascinating that you're able to, be that support system for them, not just as, hey, I'm human just like you, but you actually have the background to know how to approach those conversations. It's really fascinating. And you mentioned that there are, so many barriers for people to get into homeownership.
Mm-hmm.
I have a testimonial from one of your clients that I would love to run.
Okay.
She was a first-time home buyer.
Yes.
Let's take a listen to her.
Best 2 real estate agents around, Shakeita Price and Latoya Robinson. They will always do you right. If you're looking for a place to buy, contact them.
How you feeling?
I feel good. Nervous, but good.
Good.
Yep. I couldn't have bought a house without their help, without them. So
we appreciate you, Ms. Walters.
Hey, I appreciate y'all. You don't know how much I appreciate y'all.
So this is Viola Walters?
Yes, Ms. Walters.
First-time home buyer.
First-time home buyer.
74 years old.
Yes.
What, without giving away too much personal information, of course, but, what kind of barriers were in place for her that you guys were able to help her overcome and have that excitement of being a homeowner?
So, helping Ms. Walters really took me back to why I became a mortgage lender.
Mm-hmm.
Although I do hold both licenses, in this transaction, I was only the lender. Mm-hmm. And finding the house, it wasn't a problem for Ms. Walter. But being able to get approved for a house was the challenge. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of elderly individuals, they live on a fixed income.
Yep.
And so her income was fixed.
Mm-hmm.
And so because of that, I had to do creative financing. And creative financing is when you do financing that's outside of the box. So her file was very challenging. One of the challenge was debt to income generally being too high to qualify.
Right. And that's something that anyone's going to have to deal with when they look to get approved for a mortgage, is their debt to income ratio.
Yes. So that was definitely one of the challenges. That was the hugest challenge. Not going so much into her personal information, but when you are purchasing a home, when she originally got pre-approved, mm-hmm. your credit report is only good for 120 days. Mm-hmm. And so she was pre-approved, and then her realtor found her something But when it was time to close,
Mm-hmm.
by the time we got the contract and it was time to close, her credit had to be repulled.
Mm-hmm.
And so this isn't so much about her credit score because that wasn't a problem, but disputes.
Mm-hmm.
So you cannot purchase a home with disputes on your credit.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was another challenge because most people, especially elderly, they don't know how to get disputes removed.
Mm-hmm.
And so, again, this brought me back to why did I choose this profession? To help people. She was elderly. She didn't know how to do it. She did not know how to get her paperwork. She did not know how to send PDF documents. The underwriter is not going to set PDF document, going to accept pictures.
Mm-hmm.
So, we had to take these pictures and turn them into PDF documents.
Okay.
We had to collaborate with the realtor to meet her in person for some of the documents to be wet signed.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Do you feel like a lot of those, what you're describing, I think, is what a lot of the older generation deals with just how quickly technology has changed throughout the years.
Yeah.
And once you get behind the eight ball on it, it's like, how do you even begin to learn how to keep up with all of this stuff? And if someone is looking to purchase a home, everything's like DocuSign or sent electronically.
Mm-hmm.
For people who just struggle with sending and receiving emails, that is a huge lesson in technology to learn when you're also trying to buy your very first home.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of elderly people deal with it. But to be honest with you, you don't have to be. I've seen people that 35 or 40 that struggle with
Mm-hmm.
how to send a PDF document.
Mm-hmm.
And so with Ms. Walters, one thing I can say, anything that we needed, she tried to do it to the best of her ability. If I couldn't get to her, if we couldn't change the pictures over, all we had to do was say, hey, well, can you go to the library? But she also didn't drive.
Mm-hmm.
So she had to wait on the family members to take her to the library.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a lot of challenges. But what I loved about Ms. Walters, not only did she show up, she didn't blame us for it. She was grateful.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, okay, what do I need to do? This is when I can get it done. Let me call this person to get it done. So I also think having a good lender, someone that's going to be able to do creative financing. It was the week of closing, we had to pull that new credit and those disputes came. And so at that time, we had to end up doing a rescore.
Mm-hmm.
And a rescore cannot be charged to the borrower. And it cost $380. That was money that I had to pay out of my pocket to get it, not absorb. I had to do.
Right.
This is
you absorbed it
before.
Yeah.
Most times, as a retail lender, you can do it up front,
mm-hmm.
and they might just pay for it. But because I'm a mortgage broker, because in order to be a real estate agent, you cannot be. Most retail mortgage companies do not allow you to do both.
Mm-hmm.
So, as a mortgage broker, everything is pretty much standalone. So all the systems and everything that you typically get with retail, with mortgages, as a mortgage broker, I'm responsible for those fees. So, hey, we repulled the credit. All the disputes came out, but then another dispute popped up. So we had to do 2 rescores.
It sounds like, I feel like there are stories of closings that are just chaotic, and you just deal with them, right? And at that point, it's you're so close to the finish line. Let's get this done in any way possible. And it seems, obviously, she's grateful. And she's in her home. Have you checked in with her? Is she happy?
Yeah, she is happy. Yeah. So one thing I do, so she closed, Ms. Walters closed December. So one thing that I do for holidays every year,
mm-hmm.
I always go by and visit my clients. Either I'm going to send them a digital gift card, whether it's Starbucks or Target.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, depending on if they're local in the area, I may personally visit them and drop off a gift. And then every month, I have her in the system. So with me being a mortgage lender, rates go up and down.
Right.
So I have her in a system that if the rates drop lower than the interest rate that she closed with, she's automatically notified, where me and her can schedule a phone call to see what other
right. Is it worth refinancing?
Yeah, refinancing.
Yeah. Which I feel like a lot of people, right now with the rates kind of teetering up and down in the 5 and 6 range, that there are a lot of people who are thinking that, right? So we've talked a lot about just the lending side.
Mm-hmm.
how would you best describe the differences for someone who might not understand? You've got, a mortgage loan officer and a real estate agent. Who takes care of what responsibilities?
Yeah. So anything that's regarding your finances is going to be for the mortgage loan officer, also loan officer, lender, mortgage broker. So anything that's regarding that. So for example, what's my mortgage payment? Mortgage lender. How much money do I have to bring to closing? Mortgage lender. How much is my down payment? Mortgage lender. Closing costs? Mortgage lender. Can I close? Mortgage lender. So when you are looking to purchase a home, typically the mortgage lender is the first person that you want to get in contact. But the reality is the realtors, real estate agents are the face of the business. So if you're scrolling on Zillow or you're scrolling on realtor.com, you're probably going to call the realtor because most people think about, I want to buy the house. They're not thinking about, I want a mortgage to get the house. So you think about what you want. That's why realtors are the face of the business.
Yeah.
But anyways, money, how much you're going to bring, interest rate, when is my payment due? Those are all mortgage lender questions. The real estate side, how much is the house? Also, how much are they going to pay for the closing costs? These are things that your realtor is going to negotiate. There's a leak when we did who's going to schedule the inspections? There's a leak in the house. I noticed mold on the ceiling. Who's going to fix it? That's a real estate question. The appraisal came in low. Now, here's the thing. Appraisals is kind of both sides. So the lender orders the appraisal. The client pays for it. When the appraisal comes in, the lender sends the results to the buyer. Now, the buyer will have to, of course, consent for their real estate agent to get a copy of the appraisal. But essentially, the buyer send that to their agent. And if the appraisal comes in low, that's when the real estate agent comes in because now they have to negotiate with the listing agent about, hey, what are we going to do about the appraisal coming in low? So anything particularly related to the house, as far as the condition of the property, as far as the terms of the property, if you can back out, if you can cancel the contract, what the fee is going to be, all of those things is going to be on the real estate side. So the real estate agents find the home, the loan officer fund the homes.
So what would you say to, that's a great breakdown, by the way. So what would you say to someone who maybe they've been scrolling late night on Zillow, as we have all done, and they're thinking, this is just too overwhelming. I don't know where to start, what questions I should even ask, right? Is, not being informed about the industry, which how can you be? It's there's a lot to it. But advice for people who feel overwhelmed and that has kept them out of owning a home. What would be your advice to them in terms of, educating themselves?
Okay. So that can go two different ways. One thing that
we can do both ways.
Yeah.
We can talk about them both.
So one thing that I would say, if you say, hey, I'm ready to buy a house and I am serious about purchasing a home, I will contact a lender. I will contact a mortgage lender because you can go out there and look at 1,000 houses. Now, for me as an agent, I'm not taking anyone to see a property if they're not pre-approved. Unless you
because you
are
can't
cash
shop
buyer.
If you don't know the budget. If you don't know how much is in the wallet, you can't buy anything.
Yep. And so, I'm not taking you out. I don't get paid, nor do any other agents get paid to go and show you 100 homes. That's like window shopping. If you want to window shop, you can definitely go to a new build area and just go out there and look. But the truth of the matter is, if you are serious about purchasing a home, you need to come up with a plan. And the first step of that plan is going to be contacting a mortgage lender, a mortgage broker, contacting someone that can take a look at your finances and tell you exactly what you need to do and help you come up with an action plan that you can execute to be in a home within your timeline.
I love that you talked about action plan because I think with real estate, a lot of times, it can be a great investment. It's not the only investment, but it can be a great investment. And
100%.
On your website, even you talk about generational wealth, and breaking the cycle of poverty.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean to you?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So to me, breaking the cycle of poverty in my community, I would say that a lot of people feel that they are not worthy of purchasing a home or that it's too hard. And this kind of goes back to the second scenario of what tips would I give someone. Breaking the cycle of poverty first means paying your bills on time, living within your means. That's going to be the first step. So paying your bills on time is going to be a direct correlation, reflection on your credit score. Because if you pay your bills late, then it's going to affect your credit. So that's the first thing. And even if your light bill or your water bill don't go on your credit, you are building up habits of not paying your bills on time. And so first you need to get your affairs in order, and that means pay your bills on time. That's the first thing. And that's the starting point of breaking the cycle of poverty, because you're going to continue to live in poverty and continue to live from paycheck to paycheck if you're not paying your bills on time. Now, this goes into the second part as far as how to get prepared, the debt to income, which the lender will tell you about. So if your answer to the last question was, I can't pay my bills on time because I don't have enough money, that means your debt to income is too high. Mm-hmm. That means you're spending more money than your bills are more than the income that you're bringing in. So you either need to do one or two options. You need to
make some sacrifices.
Make some sacrifices, which means, hey, I'm not going to get my hair done. Hey, I'm not going to go out to eat. Hey, I'm not going to go and party. Or you need to find a job. Mm-hmm. What if everything that you're doing is the bare minimum of what you need? Maybe there's no sacrifices you can make, but I think there are some.
There are always. I think it's difficult, right? I think in the age that we live in, where everyone flaunts everything on social media.
Yes,
it's right there in your face of what other people have and what you might not have, but you don't know. Every time they're going out to eat, it might be going on the credit card, and they might not be able to pay it off. But I think it's difficult when you see what everyone else has. People have a hard time nowadays saying no to going out to eat, not living in the popular area of town, and instead choosing an area that maybe is a little bit more affordable, but you're not going to have the same lifestyle. But in the end, the older you is going to be thankful.
Yeah, that's 100% true. And that helps with everything that you said just now as well, Morgan. So when we look at debt to income in reflection of what she said, everybody's situation is going to be different. Mm-hmm. So because you have a family member that was able to get pre-approved for $300,000, and you a real true story. I had a client say, well, I don't know why everyone is telling me no, that they can't get me approved for a house. And I know some people, and I know I'm making more money than them, and they got approved.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot more that gets factored in.
And I said, do you know what their bills are monthly? I said, because, looking at your credit profile, and they actually said, I see a lot of clients that you help that got approved, and I know I make more money than them.
Oh, interesting.
So I said, do you know what their credit profile look like? Do you know what their credit score is? Do you know what their debts are? Mm-hmm. I say you can have
student loans.
Yeah, I say you can have a higher credit score than somebody. You can make more than somebody, but their debt to income may be less. Mm-hmm. And so with that being said, find a job that you can make more money, and establish some healthy saving habits. Mm-hmm. Start saving. Mm-hmm. So the main 3 tips, the number 1, call a lender. If you call me and your credit score isn't where it needs to be, I would say, hey, here's a resource. Mm-hmm. So with my, on the mortgage lending side, there's a resource that I pay for my clients. So if they have a credit score that's lower than a 580, I'll send that link to them. They can enroll in the program for free. And the program actually give them real tactical steps that they can take to improve their credit score. Nice. And it automatically lets me know when their credit score improves. Number 2, after your credit score is where it needs to be, while you're working on that, I would say, hey, I need you to save at least $10,000. Even if they're eligible for down payment assistance, you may have to pay some closing costs.
And I'm sure they're thinking $10,000. I can't even save a couple hundred, right?
Yes.
But
some
how
people,
bad do you want that?
But it is tax time right now. Mm-hmm. And believe it or not, a lot of clients get money back tax time.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you don't personally get money back tax time, if you are an entrepreneur, then your business may be booming right now if you are a tax preparer or if you're a car salesman. Because not everybody, but a lot of people do get an influx of money around this time and they spend it. So even if you're not getting the money directly, you may be in a line of business where you are getting more clientele during this season where your business is accumulating more money.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a way. And guess what? They have DoorDash. They have Uber Eats. And a lot of people right now, they are doing what is convenient.
Mm-hmm.
What's convenient? For me to sit at home where I don't have to go pick up my groceries or for me to order some food out.
Yeah.
So there are so many different ways. Maybe your full-time job is not going to cut it. Maybe you can only save $500, but there are so many other resources. One stream of income right now, just one full-time job is not going to be enough. You see me right now. I have my real estate license and my loan officer license. So there's other things that people can do. They can say, hey, how am I going to save it? Come up with a plan. If there is a will, there is a way. And all it takes is willpower and you actually executing the plan because there is a way for it to
You
be
need
done.
your own podcast, Tough Love with Shakeita Price. I love it. I absolutely love it. We have run out of time, but I thank you so much, Shakeita, for not only making the drive, but coming on Turnkey. And I think you've provided a lot of excellent advice for people looking for a home.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
I'm excited to be here, and I hope that the information I shared on today can help someone that's watching today become a homeowner because it's never too late.
It is never too late. And thank you so much to all of you out there for watching Turnkey on Queen City News Plus. We'll see you next time.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.